Sagittarius, God is alerting you. This place was never your final destination. Something in your spirit has already sensed it. The signs aren't subtle anymore. The smiles around you feel distant. The days loop without meaning. The walls that once protected you now feel like they're closing in. You didn't stumble onto this video by accident. This is divine timing. The universe has been sending signals for weeks, maybe even years. But today, that whisper became a warning. You are about to be taken out of this place, not in fear, not in punishment, but in preparation. Because where you are now can no longer hold who you are becoming. You've outgrown the conversations, the comfort, even the identity you've carried so long. And while part of you still clings to what was another part, the deeper part knows it's time to leave. Sagittarius, this isn't the end, it's the awakening. The very fact that you're hearing this means the journey has already begun. So don't look away now, stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll understand why everything around you is shifting and why heaven has chosen this exact moment to alert you. Part 1. The restless signal. It didn't begin with a disaster. It began in the silence. That heavy silence you feel when you're in a room full of people, but your soul is somewhere else. That moment when your favorite song no longer stirs emotion. When the places you once ran to for comfort now make you anxious. That strange sensation when even joy feels borrowed. Sagittarius. This is what it feels like when God begins to alert your spirit before your body is ready to move. It's not fear, it's frequency. You're picking up on something others can't hear. You've always been the seeker, the one tuned to the distant drum of destiny. But lately, that drumbeat has quickened, and it's calling you out. You wake up tired, even after sleep. You speak less because your words feel wasted. You find yourself staring at the sky or into the void, sensing something is about to shift. But you can't explain why. This is not random, Sagittarius. This is the first stage of divine relocation. The soul always knows before the schedule makes sense. People around you might say you're distant. They might ask why you're not yourself anymore. But the truth is, you've never been more yourself than you are right now. Because the version of you that once belonged to this life is quietly packing its bags. And here's the deepest truth. When God is ready to move you, He doesn't always shout. He stirs. A holy restlessness begins to rise. And suddenly, what used to feel like home now feels like a holding cell. If you're experiencing this, if this resonates in your chest like an unspoken truth, comment below. I feel the shift because acknowledging it is the first step toward alignment. And the universe doesn't guide those who ignore the signs, it guides those who respond. But before you can step into the next place, you must recognize what the current one has become. And that brings us to something deeper. What happens when the place you once called sanctuary becomes the very thing suffocating your soul? Let's talk about that. Life lesson. Restlessness is not a flaw in your system. It's a compass in your soul. When peace disappears without reason, it may be because your spirit is trying to lead you where your mind hasn't dared to imagine yet. Don't dismiss the discomfort. Learn to read it as divine guidance. Part 2. The cage you once called home. There was a time when this place felt like everything. You built a life here. You laughed here. You cried here. You healed here. You even told yourself, This is it. This is where I'm meant to be. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, something shifted. What once felt like a sanctuary now feels like a cage. Sagittarius, this is one of the most painful spiritual realizations, that the place you once fought to stay in is no longer a fit for the soul you've become. It doesn't mean that place was wrong. It means you've grown. The room hasn't shrunk. You've expanded. The energy no longer flows. The connections feel forced. The inspiration dries up. You feel like a visitor in your own life. It's subtle at first. You start avoiding certain conversations. You spend more time alone, not because you're isolating, but because the noise around you doesn't match your inner voice anymore. You look at the people you used to feel safe with, and now they don't see you. Not the real you. Because the real you has evolved. And they're still interacting with the version of you that no longer exists. This is where his internal conflict begins. You try to stay for their sake. You try to shrink your truth just enough to remain comfortable. But every time you do, a part of you dims. You smile, but it's tight. You speak, but it's shallow. You perform joy, but you're silently mourning the version of yourself that's trying to emerge. And yet, even as the cage tightens, you hesitate. Because, what will they say if you leave? What if you're wrong? What if this is just a phase? But deep down, you already know. When your soul starts suffocating in what used to feel like home, it's not a phase. It's a call, a holy alarm. And the longer you ignore it, the louder it becomes. So, if you're standing at the edge of a life that used to hold you, but now holds you back, comment below. Comment if your comfort zone has started to suffocate your fire. Because admitting it doesn't make you disloyal, it makes you honest. And honesty is the doorway to real alignment. Before something new can begin, you have to name what's over. And sometimes what's over doesn't look broken. It just feels too small. Now, the question becomes, what do you do when you realize that staying would cost you more than leaving? Let's go deeper. Life lesson: staying in a place you've outgrown isn't a sign of strength. It's a delay in your destiny. When your spirit no longer fits the space around you, you are being asked to evolve, not escape, but elevate. The most sacred decisions are rarely comfortable, but comfort was never your calling. Expansion was. Part 3. The divine disruption. It starts subtly. Plans fall through for no reason. People who once poured into your life suddenly pull away. Doors that should have opened don't. Opportunities that once thrilled you now feel hollow. Sagittarius, this is not chaos. This is choreography. Heaven is not punishing you. It's preparing you. When your soul is ready to expand, but your life refuses to make space, the universe intervenes. And it doesn't always do it gently. What looks like loss is often divine protection in disguise. What feels like rejection may actually be sacred redirection. The people you thought would always be there disappear. The job you built your stability around begins to crack. The relationships you anchored your identity to start feeling foreign. This isn't coincidence. This is the divine disruption. When God wants to grow you, He removes everything that is too small to contain your next season. Not to destroy you, but to clear the path for something bigger than your current mind can comprehend. And yes, it hurts. Because we don't just lose the situation, we lose who we were inside it. We grieve not just the job, the friendship, the home. We grieve the version of ourselves who felt safe there. But Sagittarius, here's the truth. Growth always begins with grief. Grief is the sacred space between what was and what will be. It's where your spirit catches up to your assignment. And it's in that space that God does his deepest work. You don't need to fix what is breaking. You need to listen to what it's trying to teach you. Maybe the delays weren't blocks. They were boundaries. Maybe the silence wasn't abandonment. It was alignment. Maybe the emptiness wasn't punishment. It was a preparation for deeper fulfillment. So, if everything around you feels like it's coming undone, comment below. Comment, I trust the break. If this resonates with your path, because sometimes the only way forward is through the unraveling. Let it break. Let it fall. Let it burn. You're not being buried. You're being broken open. Because what's next requires a version of you that the current world cannot carry. Let it go. Life lesson. Disruption is not the enemy of destiny. It's the entrance to it. The universe doesn't destroy what's real. It removes what's in the way. Don't rush to rebuild what heaven is trying to dismantle. Sometimes, the most spiritual thing you can do is let it fall apart. Part 4. The recalibration of the archer. Sagittarius, you are the archer. Your nature is movement. Your instinct is to aim forward. You were born with a compass in your chest, always tuned toward expansion. But what happens when the direction you once trusted begins to shift? Lately, your arrows don't land the way they used to. Your vision feels blurred. Your passion, once fiery and clear, is flickering in uncertainty. This is not failure. This is a recalibration. When your purpose deepens, your aim must adjust. What once aligned with your spirit now feels misaligned because you're no longer shooting for survival. You're shooting for significance. There was a time you aimed for approval, for stability, for a place to finally rest. But your soul is evolving. And the arrows that once pointed to comfort are now being redirected toward calling. You may feel like you've lost your way. You haven't. You're just being asked to shoot from a deeper place. This new target is not outside you. It's within. It's not about running anymore. It's about remembering who you are and why you were sent here. The archer is being recentered. That's why the goals you once chased no longer satisfy. That's why the hustle feels heavier, because you're no longer aiming from your ego. You're being guided by something ancient, something eternal. And yes, it feels unfamiliar. Yes, it feels vulnerable. But this is sacred territory. You are being aligned with your real aim, the one that was etched into your soul before this life even began. This is not the time to doubt your gift. It's the time to relearn how to use it. So, if you feel your old desires falling away and a new unnamed pull rising in your chest, comment below. Comment, my aim is changing if you feel your purpose being recalibrated. Because the archer is not defined by the arrow. The archer is defined by the courage to adjust when destiny calls for a new direction. And now that the target has changed, you can no longer shoot from the same stance. Let's talk about what happens when you step beyond the aim into the unknown. Life lesson. When life redirects your aim, it's not a sign you've missed. It's proof you've matured. The soul doesn't abandon its calling. It just refines it. Don't mourn the goals that no longer move you. Celebrate the wisdom that's guiding you towards something greater. Part 5. Crossing the threshold. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when everything familiar has lost its grip, but the new world hasn't yet arrived. Sagittarius, this is the threshold. You've already said goodbye, but you haven't said hello. You've outgrown the room, but haven't found the door. You know the place you're leaving is too small, but you're not sure what comes next. This is the space where many turn back, because the unknown can feel like failure when we haven't yet learned to call it freedom. Here, your faith is tested, not in loud storms, but in long silences. Not in big losses, but in subtle delays. You wake up wondering if you made the right decision. You look around and see no evidence of progress. You question if the stirring in your spirit was real or just wishful thinking. But Sagittarius, this is not confusion. This is sacred transition. You're not lost. You're in between. And that space, as painful as it feels, is holy. Because this is where your past can no longer follow you, and your future is not yet visible. It's where God teaches you how to walk by spirit, not sight. Every fear will try to rise here. Every doubt will try to anchor you. The mind will tell you to go back. The heart will whisper, just wait. But the soul will say, step anyway. This isn't the time to retreat into old patterns. This is the time to honor the fire that brought you this far. If you find yourself here in the space between what was and what will be, comment below. Comment, I'm in between. If this part reflects your life right now, because you're not alone in this space, this is where the real ones awaken. This is where your calling is forged, not in clarity, but in courage. The threshold doesn't last forever, but it does last long enough to strip away everything false. And what's left is the version of you that's ready to walk into destiny. Let's talk about what happens when the horizon finally begins to appear. Life lesson. The threshold is not punishment, it's preparation. When nothing is certain, anything is possible. This space is not empty. It is pregnant with purpose. Don't fear the pause. It's in the stillness where the soul realigns with truth. Part 6. The new coordinates. You're starting to feel it now, aren't you? Something has shifted. You don't know the full picture yet, but the energy is different. The air feels lighter in unexpected places. New conversations stir something inside you. Old desires fall away like dead leaves, and in their place, a quiet sense of direction begins to form. This is how the next chapter begins. Not with a map, but with a magnet. Your spirit is being pulled towards something it doesn't even have a name yet, but it has weight and presence and peace. Sagittarius, these are your new coordinates. They don't come in the form of instructions. They come as alignment. A new person appears who reflects the future you've been growing toward. An opportunity arises that speaks directly to your higher self, not your old ego. You find yourself in spaces that make your soul expand, not shrink. You're not chasing anymore. You're attracting. You're not begging anymore. You're becoming. And suddenly, what once felt like a breakdown now looks like the most divine reroute of your life. You begin to see why it all had to fall apart. You understand why the delays happened, why the job didn't work out, why the friendship faded, why the old version of you had to be surrendered. Because the new version of you is now walking with confidence toward places you used to only dream of. This is not coincidence. It's confirmation. You have been reassigned. You have been recoded. You have been redirected by design. So, if you're starting to feel glimpses of your next chapter through new energy, new people, new visions, comment below. Comment: I release the old, I receive the new. Because when you anchor that truth in your words, your path becomes even more clear. This place is not where you started, but it's always where you were headed. Let's bring it all together. Life lesson: destiny doesn't scream, it whispers. And those who learn to listen, those who trust the shift even before they see the map, are the ones who rise first. The new coordinates aren't outside you. They're encoded in your evolution. When you move in alignment, the world doesn't just open doors. It builds new ones where walls used to be. Conclusion: Sagittarius, if you've made it here, you already know you were never meant to stay where your soul has outgrown. Every delay, every disruption, every quiet ache in your chest was never a sign of your weakness. It was the divine whisper of your next direction. You were not being punished. You were being positioned. And now the space between what was and what will be is finally starting to collapse. The fire inside you, the one they tried to contain, is rising again. But this time, it's not here to burn bridges. It's here to light the path ahead. This is not your ending. This is your alignment, your release, your reawakening. If you felt seen, understood, or stirred by this message, don't leave silently. Comment below: I'm ready for where heaven is taking me. Let that declaration anchor your intention. Let it be your first step toward the horizon that's calling you by name. And if this message spoke to your soul, subscribe to the Sagittarius Flame for more spiritual guidance, deep truths, and reminders of who you truly are. Because this journey is far from over. The prophecy doesn't end when you leave the place you've outgrown. It begins when you finally arrive where your spirit was always meant to thrive.